Good morning, beloveds. It is Monday. I've already had an interesting morning with the cats. Um, so, you know, I don't know what's going to happen while we're doing this, but we will see. Okay, because I brought tribute for the elderly cat, and he doesn't want it. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. He's elderly. He can do what he wants, right? It is February 7th. Our title is, I Take Dominion Over My World Today and Handle It Rightly. Our quote is, Thou madest them to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under their feet. And that is Psalm 8:6. Timidity has never been a virtue, and modern psychology has proved that it is a definite indication of a wrong habit pattern in the unconscious. Many people who never give the impression of being timid fail to really take dominion over their own thoughts and organize it into efficient patterns. As metaphysicians, we know that until we control our thinking, we shall never control the conditions of our environment, business, or personal health. The point of control is always within, and the wise person starts to assume dominion over their disorganized thinking. This is easier to accomplish than we realize that spirit within us is urging us in this direction. God wants us to control ourselves and not other people. We are spiritually equipped to do this. By the power of the God in the midst of me, I now take dominion over my thinking. I know that peace is in my mind means peace in my world. I recognize that within myself this day, the mind of God is in full control of my every activity. I am poised and centered in God's eternal peace. I meet every situation as it arises with confidence, for I have faith that the right idea will emerge out of God's mind for me to use at every instant. I refuse to let fear control me, and I joyously let God have dominion in my affairs. I accept each idea as it comes to me, knowing that God's ideas answer every question and solve every problem. I am in control. Kind of smacked us on our hand with that line of God wants us to control ourselves, not other people. And that's one of the things that I remember when I went through practitioner training, which I won't tell you how long ago that was, because it was more than 10 years. I've been a practitioner for over 10 years now. And that was one of the things that we talked about, is like when we have clients who come to us, and they ask us, well, my life would be so-and-so, would be so much better if so-and-so would just do this. And I'm like, well, but let's talk about you. I can't do anything about that other person. That other person isn't the one that came to me. You are the one that came to me. So what can we do for you? And controlling our thoughts. And that's one of the reasons why frequently Ernest talks about it, and therefore I do too, about the trend of our thoughts. It's like when you have a garden and you plant all these flowers, and then what do? You gotta water it, you gotta feed it, you gotta, cover it if it gets cold, and you also gotta weed it. And that's where our control is. When we take a look at the weeds that are popping up in our thoughts. Do we have to get every single weed? No. But do we need to get most of them? Yes. Yes, we do. And that's where the work is. So that's about controlling our thoughts. That's about organizing our thoughts. If we concern ourselves with the trend of our thoughts, and then we make sure that we are nourishing our mind, we are resting our mind, we are, doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing, then the trend of our thoughts should be more organized, more peaceful, more, and I hesitate to use the word productive because that word can be a little overused. Are you going to come up? But, you know, we'll get things done. We'll get things done. And all of that is included: resting and nourishment and weeding. And that's where because that's the only thing we really have control over, is our thoughts. And when we control our thoughts, we can handle anything that happens in our environment. Because we realize that sometimes the only thing we have is a choice about how we feel about what's going on. And once we make a choice about how we feel about what's going on, then possibilities to change it open up. All right? But that's where it starts. It starts with making up our mind and making a choice about how we feel. And we got to know how we feel, so we got to know ourselves, which means we got to tend to our tend to our garden, tend to our mind, and all the things that come with it. So today, I take dominion over my world and I handle it rightly. And I like how he says, handle it rightly. How do we handle it rightly? By knowing who we are and knowing our mind, and knowing that the mind that we are using is bigger than us, which means, because it is bigger than us, everything we could possibly need is already in it. And if we can still our busy mind, organize our busy mind, then we will be open to the information when it crops up. Because it will. It always does. The question is are we paying attention? Make of the psalm what you will. Thou hast made them to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under their feet. Psalm 8:6. Feel free to go read it for yourselves. There's more to it than that. One line, taken out of context. Okay, so timidity has never been a virtue. Patience is a virtue. Not necessarily one of mine, though. And modern psychology has proved that it is a definite indication of a wrong habit pattern in the unconscious. Now, the interesting thing about habits is we don't break habits. What we do is we replace habits. And it takes 21 days. So if you are working on breaking the habit of being timid, then you got to put yourself out there for 21 days. And then you can replace that habit. Does it fix it completely in 21 days? Probably not, but it's a good start. It's a good start. So it's like just in 21 days, that's 3 weeks. Just push yourself a little bit for 3 weeks. And then in 3 weeks, see if you can't push yourself a little bit more. And change that habit. Many people who never give the impression of being timid fail to really take dominion over their own thought and organize it into efficient patterns. And that's what I'm talking about, weeding your gardens. Too many times we're busy thinking about this over here when this over here has absolutely nothing to do with what we could be doing. So we're like focused over here, so our energy is going over here, and where we need to be is over here. That's what he's talking about. Taking dominion over your thoughts, organizing your thoughts. We're wasting our energy when we're wasting our attention. And it doesn't mean that we can't rest and focus on this over here for the entertainment value. But if we've got things to do, and they're over here, and we're busy over here, you see where I'm going with that. As metaphysicians, we know that until we control our thinking, we shall never control the conditions of our environment, business, and personal health. And that's what I'm talking about. Controlling the conditions starts with making a choice about how we feel about it. Once we know how we feel about it, then possibilities will open up. Because we might decide it's no big deal. And if it's no big deal, then we don't have to do anything about it. But if we decide it is a big deal, and it's something that needs to be changed, then the mind of God will begin to provide ideas on how we can change it. But because we have made up our mind that it needs to change, we will be open to those ideas. All right? That's how that works. That is absolutely how that works. The point of control is always within, and the wise person starts to assume dominion over their disorganized thinking. This is easier to accomplish than we realize. This is easier to accomplish when we realize that spirit within us is urging us in this direction. When we start to organize our thoughts, spirit starts throwing all kinds of help our way. Absolutely does. In the forms of people, in the forms of, stuff to read and think, and just, a peaceful moment or two makes a world of difference in what's going on. 3 deep breaths. All right. God wants us to control ourselves and not other people. Because the truth is we don't have any control over anybody other than ourselves. And that is the truth. So when you start to think, well, my life would be so much better if so-and-so would just do, you are not taking dominion over your life. You have now given dominion of your life to so-and-so. So, don't worry about so-and-so. Don't worry about yourself either. Take dominion over your own thinking. Make your own decisions. Stand up for what you, and sometimes you just have to make up your mind about how you feel about the situation. All right? We are spiritually equipped to do this. We came pre-installed with all the software we need to do this. I like to say that the Christ consciousness is factory settings, and the password to access that software is love. All right? By the power of God in the midst of me, I now take dominion over my own thinking. I know that peace in my mind means peace in my world. I recognize that within myself this day, the mind of God is in full control of my every activity. And when I am willing to surrender to the bigger mind than mind, all kinds of amazing information comes at me. And then I can make choices in the fullness of that knowledge and not just react to what's going on around me. I am poised and centered in God's eternal peace. I meet every situation as it arises with confidence, for I have faith that the right ideal will emerge out of God's mind for me to use at every instance. The mind that we use is infinite. And it is not bound by time, and it is not bound by space, which means absolutely everything that has existed, does exist, will exist, already exists within that mind. Which means when we are open to it, which is why I said surrendering to the greater mind, that which we need will come. But we have to be open, willing, and peaceful to recognize it when it shows up. Because sometimes it is a still small voice. Sometimes it's a spiritual 2x4. I admit it. But most of the time it's a still small voice. And it is in the peace of our mind and the peace of our soul that we will hear it. I meet every situation. Oh, wait. Got it. I refuse to let fear control me, and I joyously let God have dominion in my affairs. Because I understand that God is synonymous with love, that God wants me to be happy, that God wants me to be joyful, that God wants me to be peaceful, that God wants me to be harmonious. Why wouldn't I surrender to that? I accept each idea as it comes to me, knowing that God's ideas answer every question and solve every problem. I am in control. Who am I in control of? Me. That's it. That's it. Do I have influence over others? Yes. And hopefully that I'm a good influence. I'm a peaceful influence. I mean, that's my whole goal, is to be an island of calm in the messiness of the material world. But the only person I truly can control is me. And as soon as I give up trying to control other people, then I have control over me. And my life is better because I can make up my own mind about what it is that I think, what I feel, and what I should do. The only person we truly have control over is ourselves. All right, so the mission today, should we choose to accept it? Is to control our thinking. To control our thinking. Or let me put it in a little bit more of an interesting way, to weed our garden. It's to weed our garden. To go through and think about the trend of our thoughts. There was a few years ago, I don't even know how many, back when the rubber wristbands were a thing, there was one, and I think it was purple, and I forget what it said on it, but basically every time you had a negative thought, you were supposed to switch arms. And it was to give you an idea of how many negative thoughts you were having a day. And buddy, I changed that thing across my wrist 20 times on a 4-mile drive to work. Meaning, driving in the car, I might have some issues there. I've been working on them though. So, but that's what I mean. You don't have to worry about every single thought, but what you want to do is worry about the trend of your thought. When we control our thinking, then our world gets better. So weed your garden. Weed your garden. Be aware of what you are using to feed it. Be aware of what you are using to fertilize it. Be aware of who you are, which is a beloved child of God. All right? And know that God has equipped you to organize your thinking. God has equipped you to control yourself. And that is the only person God has equipped you to control. All right, beloveds, I'm going to move into the process of my day. But I am going to encourage you, as I always do, because it is a spiritual practice. Do something loving for yourself. Do something kind for yourself. Do something compassionate for yourself. Whatever that looks like. 3 deep breaths. Go for a walk. Take a nap. Take the day off. I mean, occasionally you just need that. All right. I know it's Monday. It's probably not the day to be encouraging you to take a day off, but hey, you know what? You do you. But it is, I am encouraging you into a habit of being kind, compassionate, and loving with yourself. Because if you can do it for yourself, you can do it for anybody. Honest to God, that is the way this works. So create that habit, create that default setting, create that ability to respond to no matter what happens in your world with love, with kindness, with compassion. All right? You're creating a bank by practicing on yourself. All right. I also, as I always do, encourage you to engage your mind and your body. Do something to engage your mind and your body, whatever it looks like. I went for a walk this morning. It was good. The sun came out about when I had like 5 minutes to go. So it was good. So I got that early morning sun that I recommend. It really can help with your energy levels to get that sun as early as you can in your day. Or bright light. It doesn't have to be sun because it's been cloudy. It's February. It's always cloudy in February. Drink plenty of water and open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It is all around us. Because all around us is God's stuff and Godlings. So take the little bit of advice from Emma. Look for the good and praise it. That is how you find heaven. All right? Look for the good and praise it. Everywhere that you find it, especially within yourself. Okay. Distracted by cats. Catch us on the social medias. There are book studies going on. There's a book study on Tuesday. There's a book study on Monday. There's a book study on Wednesday. There's a book study on Thursday. I think there's a class coming up. Starting, I think in March. I'm not sure what day of the week that will be, done by a practitioner. It's called The Power of Decision. You might want to look into it. We have an amazing guest for our soul session this month in February, which is the third Wednesday. So check that out. That's going to be Dr. Tracy Brown, who was my diversity teacher. She's amazing. So, all right. And you can catch us on the social medias, Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. Check those out on the various socials. And I am the running Rev Ryan on several of the socials. So know that you are loved. Take care of yourself. Have a great day, an amazing day, a wondrous day, an enchanting day, a magical day, a sunny day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. Because you are enough just as you are. All right? You're a beloved child of God. So know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.